Leaving Pearisburg, and those mountains right there are what's next. But for now, we cross this bridge. Somewhat calm morning traffic-wise right now. Can hear myself think a little bit. There's the New River, Pearisburg from the other side, and then Paris Mountain from the other side. It's an absolutely beautiful day today. It's going to be a great day of hiking. Okay, fine. I won't drink the water. I'm not even tempted. Pretty sure this right here is a deer stand. I'm not a hunter, but I think that's what that is. And then over here, you can see it right there. That's another one. Again, I'm not a hunter, so I'm not exactly 100% sure that that's what it is, but that's my best guess. It's kind of shocking to me. It's posted no trespassing on both sides of the trail here. See that red? But still, that seems like that's awful close to the trail. Kind of weird because I thought you had to be so far from the trail. I sure never want to run into anyone hunting while I'm walking on the Appalachian Trail. Hopefully, I don't know, hopefully there's safety precautions in place to where it's, hunting is being done and the trail's closed off or something at that time, but I mean, you can't really close the trail off, so I'm not really sure. And maybe it's not even a deer stand, maybe it's something else. I don't know. I don't really see what you would need to climb up in a tree and have something to sit on though, unless it's for hunting. I don't know. Anyone have any ideas on that? Let me know in the comments, because I don't really know why they have them so close to the trail like that. Shh. Be very quiet. I don't want it to know that I know. But Paris Mountain is following me. It's a cool property right there. I wouldn't mind living there at all. The power lines are in my way, but it's still beautiful. I asked them if they could move. They declined. It's definitely getting a little greener out. Somebody made a mess and didn't put their rocks away. Down there in the valley is Pearisburg, about 6 miles away. And here's Paris Mountain, still following me. It sure is a beautiful mountain. Love this area for sure. Just beautiful all around. Pearisburg is almost like in a little bowl for a valley. Mountains just surrounded on all sides. Pearisburg, until next time, probably won't see you again with any views on this particular through hike, but I'll see you again. You take care now, you hear? So I started off a little later this morning. Okay, quite a bit later. It's about 9:30 or 10, somewhere in that area when I got going, and was having a lot of problems connecting with Wi-Fi with enough download and upload speed to get my videos uploaded. So everything took a little longer to get that done. So I got a little late start. Having trouble sleeping the last few nights too. I mean, I'm sleeping just not long, or I'm getting to bed really late because of uploads and just doing other things, you know, like when I was at Weary Feed, and, you know, getting to bed late when I crossed into Pearisburg, and, you know, a night or two before that, which right now I can't even remember what happened before Weary Feet. Oh yeah, that shelter, you know, that was a really cold night, so struggled then up on, can't remember, right? Oh, Chestnut Knob. And then, you know, went into Bland, and then into Pearisburg. Had trouble sleeping then. That slept good, but again, same thing. Trouble uploading some videos. Very slow. Seems to be pretty consistent with the town of Pearisburg right now. Any Wi-Fi I was able to get on just didn't have much of speed. But anyway, I digress. Got started a little later today, so I'm only about a little over 6 miles in by noon. About 2,000 of elevation though, so it's been some climbing. But man, is it a beautiful, gorgeous day. Probably 60 degrees, gentle breeze, sunshine, with no clouds up there at all. I believe there's some open ridges and meadows or something later on, and I love doing that when it's a beautiful sunny day. Get that vitamin D and sunshine. Already starting to get a little color back into my skin. I'm usually so stinking dark, but man, when I started the AT this year, I was so pale. I don't think I had seen sun for 3 or 4 months. I think the last time I'd seen sun actually was when me and my wife Lane was on our honeymoon in Hawaii. I got a lot of sun then, but being someone who lived in Florida for 25 years, I'm used to being in the sun every stinking day. And any of my hiking and downtime wasn't in the sun the last few months. So anyway, glad to have that sun back. I'm going down some rabbit holes here. But the good thing is about me starting late is the daylight savings happened here several days ago, a week ago or whatever it was. I don't even know. A couple weeks ago, maybe. Yeah. But anyway, that means it doesn't set till 7:30 at night, which means I'll still get my hours in. I just will hike later tonight, which is fine, because what in the world is there to do after you hiked and walked, or hiked and ate, 20, 25 miles, 27 miles, then you sit down and eat, then what? Then you go to sleep. So I just won't go to sleep as early, which I can't do when the sun's up anyway. I always wait till it's dark. But I want to get my miles in, and I want to enjoy the sunshine. So who knows? I might even get a really good sunset somewhere. Who knows? But still we'll get those miles today. Just a little later start than I would have liked. But it's a beautiful day. We're going to see a lot of great views today, for sure. Bunch of youngins tenting over there at that shelter. I'm glad I'm not staying there tonight. This is looking into Virginia right there. And then on this side is West Virginia. Beautiful. Ridgeline with views on both sides. And I was wrong earlier. That's Pearisburg. That's the last view of Pearisburg. Way up high where the power lines are, you could see this section behind the food lion in town there. Awesome. A little advice. Sometimes you may be caught on a part of the trail where there isn't much water. For instance, the next 11 miles, there is no water, supposedly. This time of year, with the rain, you could have some runoffs that aren't there or on the map. But it has been pretty dry. It rained a little bit yesterday, but not much. And it's been dry for like 5 days, 4 days maybe, but it's going to be dry for like the next 5 or 6 days. So I'm walking along the trail, And I always keep my ears open, and I hear a little trickle. I hear this from the trail about, I don't know, 50 yards up. Just enough here that I can fill this glass scoopable and put it in the filter. And voila, I'm gonna have 2 liters in addition to the half a liter I already had. Plenty to get me that 11 miles to where water is overflowing. But always be listening. It could be the key to your survival. That goes for animals, water. Just be alert. Some people put headphones in and listen to music, and that's great. Maybe just one ear. You should always be listening, especially for water, because especially those people that's going to be out here in the summer, but just not the AT, anywhere you're hiking. You always want to be looking for the little water there is. Always be prepared. And then beyond that, always be alert. For the last couple miles and at least the next couple miles, it's just kind of on this flat spot, goes a little up and a little down on the ridgeline, up on top of the mountains. Really cool, a lot of down trees though, and you know, kind of looks ugly at times, but ugly in a beautiful way. These kind of trees here are always up at the summits and tops of mountains. I don't really know what kind of trees they are because, like I've said before, and I'm going to say it again, I'm not a botanist. I don't know all my plants and trees. I just love to enjoy them. I don't have to name them or have a name for them to enjoy them. But there is a name for them, and I know somebody's going to tell me in the comments what kind of trees these are. But whether you're out west or you're out here in the east, up on top of the mountains, a lot of times these kind of trees are there. So you can always tell when you're at the top of something because of the trees, but you probably know for other reasons as well. But it's really beautiful. Just a lot of little tiny ups and downs, just basically cruising along the tops of the mountains here for the next few miles. And then there's going to be some really good views. Standing on the summit of Peters Mountain, socked in with trees, no real views. There's a little bit of the valley in between the trees over there, but I've been pretty much on the ridge line seeing those views all the way up here. Then it's socked in. Behind me, you can see some construction netting. I have to stay in that. They're telling me I have to stay in that. It's the rules. There are no rules. Don't they know me? But there's some construction going on here on Peters Mountain where they're putting a pipeline in, I guess. I heard about the construction when I was in Pearisburg. I don't know how long that goes on, but I do have to stay within it. So this is probably the best views I'm going to get of Peters Mountain. But it doesn't change the fact that Peters Mountain is in the bag. I don't know if you can see behind me, but there's a top of a tent right there. It's a pretty big tent. Actually kind of shocking. There was Army or National Guard or somebody out there keeping guard, making sure people doesn't come out of that net. Wow. I'm glad I didn't come out of that net. I waved to the guy, and He waved back, so that's good. But I don't know. I keep hearing helicopters, and obviously people are working down there, so it's a pretty big deal to have that kind of security for sure. So I'm glad I didn't get out of the net on Peters Mountain. This part of the trail is barely visible. The leaves are just a little bit more bare here than say there. But looking at it in the big picture, like 200 or 300 feet in front of you, it all looks the same. So I'm glad that the blazes seem to be somewhat consistent here, so you know where the trail is. The other thing is it's quite overgrown in some spots too. Like right here, it's the rocks, that's the trail. Other times it's just a trail. And other times it's roots, sometimes it's leaves. All those trees look the same, and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of them. So thank goodness for blazes, even though I don't see any right now. At least right here I can tell I'm on the trail. The blazes were like every 4 or 5 trees there for a second. It's pretty easy to tell where they were. Virginia is the home of ridge walking, that's for sure. I don't see any blazes anywhere near here, but way up there in between some trees, I see a tree with a blaze on it, probably 100 trees away from here. So I know I'm going the right direction. I know this is the trail. Person could get lost up here without those blazes sometimes. I wonder what this looks like in the summer with more worn down, or I would assume there's not as many leaves on the trail then. There's that blaze right up there that I was seeing. It's fun the way the terrain changes so much, even on these ridges. For those of you who think Fortune is just a machine when he's walking up hills, I've got news for you. I might be part machine, I don't know. I do seem to go up hills easier than going down because it's sheer determination that drives me up, and that's stronger than any octane fuel I know. But I like to think more like a wild beast or something than a machine. But I digress. I just went up a 600-foot elevation that just kicked my butt all the way up. I had to stop 2 or 3 times and kind of bend over and catch my breath. That doesn't normally happen with me, but it must have been steeper than I was thinking it was going to be. And it is warm today. Of course, right now, I'm literally chilly because it's windy up here at the top, this flat part. And I just sweated gallons of sweat out of me. But man, I swear I was making noises like, oh, going up that hill. So I am just human, okay? Sometimes I struggle too. It's not about the struggle, it's about pushing through. Even when you are struggling, it's about pushing through till you get to the top of that mountain. Which I don't think there's a top to this mountain. I think it's just a ridge that wraps around the top and then cuts down, descending. Anyway, I just passed the place where I could have camped with a whole bunch of tent sites and flat spots there, but I decided to go on for about 4 miles. There's a shelter with some tent sites around a bunch of water. So I would much rather be close to water versus dry camping, and it's pretty dry over the last 10 miles or so. As I say that, I look down and I see a little bit of a spring. It looks more like mud, but that's been pretty much the only water since when I got water earlier, about 10 miles ago. So I'm gonna keep on going. It's about 5:15. I should get there plenty of time before the sun sets and get set up with camp and have some water. But it descends quite quickly here, about 1,600 feet. I think it jumps up another 300 or 400, then dives down 1,600 feet to where that shelter and campsites are. And I believe it just misses the summit of a mountain here on the ridgeline, where the summit's here and you cut down over here. So, well, won't be getting any summits here for the rest of the day, it seems like. So I was just climbing 600 to test my lungs out, I guess. Nothing wrong with a little training on the job. So right here's a sign for Allegheny Trail, which is a really nice sized trail going through West Virginia. It goes off this way. Shows down here it's a partnership between U.S. Forest Service, West Virginia Scenic Trail Association, and the state of West Virginia, and private landowners. So it's basically the West Virginia Thru-Hike. 315 miles to the northern terminus. This splits off and goes to where that summit was I was talking about, where this one starts descending. Right here is the Appalachian Trail. So it comes down here, starts descending into a lot of different water crossings and flowing with H2O. This one goes up to the summits and crosses, looks like 3 or 4 summits in the next few miles, which, if you know anything about me, you know that excites me. If it was early in the day, I would go up there and check out at least the first summit. I think it was called Wright Knob or Wright Mountain. But guess what? As Fortune and the mountain summiter and the Thru-Hiker and the editor of Thru-Hiker magazine, I'm gonna have to do this one someday. Maybe my wife will come with me. She's not fond of camping, but who knows? She can at least do part of it with me. The Allegheny Trail. I'll have to check it out someday. I bet it's beautiful. Home for the night, shelter with a fireplace. Look at that, moving up in the world. Wasn't gonna stay in the shelter, but since there's nobody in the shelter, I'm gonna go ahead and stay in the shelter. Looks pretty nice. Looks even, at least. Doesn't have nails hanging out. There's a couple in front. Thought maybe they would stop here, but they must have kept going to the next one. Oh, the next one's only like 3 or 4 miles. Privy's way up at the top here, and that's where there's supposedly some tent spots. My boy Zeb over here, though. Hey. That's Zeb. And look at that mansion he's got. Yeah. What is it, Dan Durston?
Yep, X-Mid 2.
X-Mid 2. So he found a good flat spot here. Looks like a pretty nice night. A little bit of cloud cover, but not too bad. No rain in the forecast, so it should be a nice night. I think like in the 40s. So I'm going to eat some food because I'm starving, and then set up my stuff in the shelter. If I don't see you before, see you in the morning, and live life.